What I'm doing right now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
How do you feel about the rapper Rick Ross having the same name?
Well, the fact that he stole my name, not that we had the same name, he actually stole my whole story, my identity, the whole thing. You know, he built his career off of my legacy.
His career that you have any respect for? Oh, no, there's nothing there.
50 Cent is having a time right now because Rick Ross just pulled off one of the most slick hustles ever on Big Meech. Rumor has it that Meech put a hit out on him, but the twist is that everyone saw this betrayal coming except for Big Meech. The internet is consuming this drama as if it were the last episode of the sexiest reality TV show. But let's examine this crazy situation in more detail.
Knew perfectly damn well what he was doing.
Ever since Rick Ross threw him under the bus, 50 Cent has been making serious fun of Big Meech and Lil Meech on social media. But the most outrageous thing is that, just a few months after being released from prison, Big Meech was out there hugging Rick Ross as if he were some sort of savior, rather than keeping his distance and expressing his love for the man who kept it real with him. Meech partnered with Ross, aware that Ross had been a long-standing foe of the 50s. 50 Cent didn't really anticipate that Big Meech would approach Rick like the adversary that he is. However, the appearance of Meech smiling and picking on Ross, as though he had been into him for the past 20 years, had to hit 50 hard, like right in the gut. And as if that betrayal wasn't enough, Big Meech continued to twist the knife further by hanging out with Floyd Mayweather, while Lil Meech just to get even with 50. For real, that's how you pay back a man who literally gave your son $5 million and kept you in the game all those years. Some may argue that 50 made a fortune off of Big Meech's name, but at least he created something. Rick Ross knew this whole situation was going to blow up, so he handled it like the slick player he is, chasing clout, soaking up that attention, and feeding his own ego. What did he do when things started to heat up? He backed off faster than you could blink before anyone realized what was happening. I mean, how do you explain that the second things got messy, Ross suddenly suffered a shoulder injury and made sure the entire internet was in on it?
What I'm doing right now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a...
As if we're now supposed to feel sorry for him, and believe me, things just get stranger from here. In addition to utilizing his shoulder ailment as an excuse to distance himself from Big Meech, Rick Ross used it as a means of evading his devoted followers, whom he outright missiled of their money using his cryptocurrency boss token. Fans began referring to him online as Rick Loss because he pulled the rug from under everyone who trusted him with their cash, man, and he crashed hard too. Remember that he got caught faking on Big Meech just days later, and that's telling. The worst part is that rumors have it that Rick Ross was the one who hyped Big Meech up by telling him to get in touch with. In an attempt to increase his revenue, 50 Cent said, "You really can't make this stuff up right now." As a result, Big Meech has nothing left to his name, and other artists are avoiding him because they believe he has bad energy. Rick Ross reportedly sold off the majority of the Wingstop franchises that everyone thought Big Meech would profit from and kept only a few so he could put that money into his real estate business. And if Rick Ross hadn't been a barrier, he would have this. Big Meech continued his careless actions throughout the game, which prevented him from making a significant comeback. They lost it all when Little Meech was out there attempting to flex like celebrities like Gunna, while blowing stacks on his Chrome Hearts pants. Now people are making fun of Big Meech for how fast he did it. Rick Ross and this alleged friendship ended badly. Michael Rainey Jr., one of the most vocal critics, stated unequivocally that he doesn't feel sorry for Lil Meech or Big Meech, because they are both grown men who should have anticipated this, and 50 Cent is adding fuel to the fire on the internet.
Meech, I don't feel bad for no grown man in this planning. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the fuck I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too, and you asking for my sympathy for it, you be alright.
Everyone knows how intense 50 Cent can get with his adversaries. Even DJ Vlad says, "You'd rather not be on the 50's bad side, man." He will destroy anything to make his point.
If you put him off, his own chicken sometimes too. You know, he'll cancel BMF to prove a point.
Now Big Meech isn't the only person Rick Ross has abandoned to fend for themselves in the desert. He also did the same to his own crew, leaving them to go have some fun in Canada, and then returning to claim that he was simply testing their loyalty. That's a terrible. He peeped the game from the beginning, but that's really Rick Ross's style all along. Whack 100 even called him out for being the real villain in this whole fiasco involving 50 and Big Meech.
Who's the bad guy? I don't think there's a bad guy.
No, yes it is. Hey, Vlad, let's talk about it.
I think Meech is the one that made a mistake.
No,
No? You think 50?
no,
Lil Meech.
no.
Who am I forgetting now?
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what
From the start, Ross was never really a friend to Big Meech. He had a clear goal and fed Meech a lot of hype, acting as though he was his ride or die while plotting to turn him against 50. In the end though, it was all exaggeration, and let's keep it realistic. Whack 100 truly made a valid point. Rick Ross was out there discrediting 50 and talking about obtaining the BMF series rights when everyone knew he was only interested in helping Big Meech get back on his feet. He had no intention of carrying it out, and now Ross has abandoned Big Meech. The only thing he promotes these days is anything that will fill his own pockets, and Big Meech is no longer in that picture. Additionally, rumors are circulating that Rick Ross may have been the reason why Big Meech's welcome benefit party was called off, even though he led us all to believe that 50 Cent was pulling strings. The simple reason is that Ross wanted to prevent Meech from enjoying the spotlight of that performance and making a significant comeback in the game. Instead, he preferred that Meech stay in his place. When 50 published that post and then removed it, he played the good guy for everyone to see, saying, "I had nothing to do with this, quit calling my phone. I hope you're having a day. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm stronger than you think." Many people weren't buying it, but now it's all starting to click big. Ross's statement, "I think I'm Big Meech," in the BF song gave Meech the impression that Ross was on his side. Isn't that something? Well, let me give you a thought that will make you ask, what? What if Big Meech was Rick Ross's true ambition? Really, when you consider it, Ross has a history of basing his entire brand on the identities of other people, particularly when they are rap royalty. That's just the facts. The person actually took his name from the real Rick Ross, a well-known figure who was serving time when he appeared. Not to mention that when the real Rick Ross was released, he called him out and even attempted to sue him. This whole situation is wild and raises many questions regarding ambition and loyalty in the game.
Rapper Rick Ross having the same name.
Well, the fact that he stole my name, not that we had the same name, he actually stole my whole story, my identity, the whole thing. You know, he built his career.
The real Rick Ross, who was responsible for an entire empire in the 1980s, sued rapper Rick Ross for trademark infringement and identity theft in 2010. Although he insisted that the entire situation was a lie and that he came up with the name himself, the judge ultimately decided in favor of the rapper in 2013. Let's keep it real, Ross had the upper hand. Given all of that, it is a stretch to believe that Ross might have been trying to pull the same trick. He was richer, more well-known, and let's not forget, a former police officer, so the odds were stacked in his favor. To top it off, the judge ruled that Ross's use of the name was protected by the First Amendment, meaning that the real Rick Ross lost the case and William Leonard Roberts Ivey was allowed to keep it without any problems. That BF song in which he declares, "I think I'm Big Meech." As soon as Meech leaves, he starts pretending like he's got his back or whatever. But when it comes time to help Meech make a genuine comeback, silence. This situation is just like what Rick Ross did to Larry Hoover in 2021. Ross has been using Larry. Hoover was a true legend in the game to increase his influence in songs while he was still in prison. According to rumors, Ross even paid the gangster disciples millions of dollars to continue referencing Hoover. However, when it came time to fully support Hoover's cause, the man walked away rather than working to help. Instead, he was out here benefiting from Hoover's legacy without giving anything back. To put it simply, many individuals were criticizing Rick Ross over that issue, and many people still claim that he mishandled the situation and was too hesitant to show up at the stadium. Now here we are once more. Since history is repeating itself, it's understandable why 50 Cent once declared that he didn't regard Rick Ross as a solid person. Let's face it, the man may switch up on you at any time.
His career that you have any respect for? Oh, no, there's nothing there.
You know that 50 is probably just kicking back and laughing at all of this chaos because while he's out there working on new projects and stacking that money, Big Meech and Lil Meech are reportedly struggling as they move from celebrity to celebrity for a few moments, merely to keep their heads above water. And boy, do we need to talk about the most outrageous aspect. Rick Ross assumed that 50 couldn't secure the money for his film studio, so he was out there mocking 50 and laughing because of it. However, a few days ago, that loan was approved. And now that Ross is personally realizing that 50 isn't someone to be taken lightly, fans are certain that Rick Ross is definitely upset, especially considering he was just recently boasting about acquiring 50's masters. Looking back, that whole claim now feels pretty far-fetched.
I'll buy your masters. You better shoot. I will buy you.
Although it might be a little too late for 50 to bring Lil Meech back into the fold or help Big Meech at this point, it's clear that some lessons have finally registered when it comes to both of them. Let me tell you, one voice that's been speaking up through this entire saga is Zip with the Drip. He saw that 50 Cent was sharing insight about Big Meech, he saw the drama playing out, and he predicted early on that things would eventually spiral and Rick Ross would walk away from Big Meech. Fast forward to now, and fans all over are chiming in. The general consensus is that Meech has essentially become irrelevant in the industry, especially since his one shot at a comeback slipped away. You'd think that all that time spent behind bars would have brought more wisdom, or at least a sharper perspective. A new outlook on how to move in this industry, but instead, it's been the opposite. That's why one user wrote, "Let me get this straight. A former correctional officer switching up on a prisoner. Who could have seen that coming?" Then you have one untrustworthy person outmaneuvering another. There's a word for that. And right now, this karma is being served fresh and hot. But really, I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts on all this. With Big Meech even being criticized for allegedly leaving behind his childhood friend, do you think he's plotting to respond to Rick Ross's betrayal, or will he just let it slide? Let us know what you think in the comments below.